Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 576. 576. October the 13th, 2018. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, I guess most of you have heard this first story by now. Good Saturday morning, by the way. It appears that the Rotten Reverend Clinton has lost her security clearance, along with Cheryl Mills and 4 other names that we don't know. Now, this has to do with a State Department review that's been going on for quite some time into the Rotten Reverend Clinton's mishandling of classified information. Now, this started a long time ago, actually, because we talked about it a while back, and then it kind of slipped into the abyss, but now it's back. And what we're learning is that the Rotten Reverend Clinton, back at the end of August, basically requested that she no longer hold her clearance. She essentially gave up her clearance. So what's going on here? Well, very simple. Someone in the State Department alerted the Rotten Reverend Clinton that there was going to be a report coming out, because when they finish this, they're going to put out a report. And that report is going to look very, very bad for the Rotten Reverend Clinton. And so she didn't want to have her security clearance taken from her, stripped from her, as was done to Mr. Potato Head. Quite embarrassing. So she decided to go ahead and let it go to avoid the embarrassment. But it's not going to work, because when the report comes out, it's going to tell us all the naughty things that she did, all the crimes that she committed, all the laws that she broke. Now, a lot of people say that there's a actual Hillary Clinton investigation going on in a criminal matter that's being run out of Arkansas, I think. I don't know, maybe, but we know for a fact that this is true because Grassley published a letter, redacted, of course. It doesn't have the names of the other people. So someone at the State Department obviously knew that this blistering report was going to come out and tarnish the Rotten Reverend Clinton, and someone tipped her off. So she basically said, okay, well then I want to relinquish my security clearance so that she can come out and say at some point, oh, well, you know, I gave up on my security clearance. I didn't try to get it renewed or anything like that. But she's still going to have a very bad report coming out on her. And also, the other individuals, including Cheryl Mills, were all people that the Rotten Reverend Clinton had, named as researchers. And based on that, she got them the security clearances they needed. So all of those people, including Cheryl Mills, that the Reverend Clinton put in for the security clearances, have also lost their security clearances. So this tells us a lot. This tells us that when this report comes out, it's going to be very damaging to the Rotten Reverend Clinton. Of course, we know it is, because she's got hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of classified emails. Whether or not this will actually turn into the thing that gets her indicted, I don't know. Because the Rotten Reverend Clinton has dirt on everybody. That's how she stays out of prison. That is how she stays out of prison. She's got leverage on a lot of people. And that's really the only reason that the woman's still walking around free and not in Sing Sing. So it's a very interesting story. It's flying under the radar. Not a lot of people are talking about it, but it's important because the Rotten Reverend Clinton would never give up her security clearance unless there was some really bad mojo going on, and someone's obviously tipped her off, because this happened at the end of August, and Grassley was informed of it at the beginning of September, and now we have the letter. A lot of redactions, but you can look at the letter and you can see that the Rotten Reverend Clinton has withdrawn her request for the security clearances, as well as those of these researchers, because she knows that when this report comes out, it's going to cite her and these researchers all having taken part in accessing her illegal, unsecured server. It's going to be a very damning report. And she's just trying to mitigate the damage. But it's not going to work. Maybe she thinks if she relinquishes this clearance that it'll fall by the wayside. but it's not going to. It's still going to make major headlines when the report comes out. And I imagine there'll be other people involved as well. So, just an interesting little tidbit that kind of popped up yesterday. It's flying under the radar, but I'm sure most of you have heard about it because, of course, a lot of people on this channel do follow this story, and this is very much connected to this story. And whether or not this has something to do with what's going on with the IG or any other investigations that may be going on, I don't know. But clearly, someone, excuse me, someone had to tip her off because she just wouldn't call in and or send a letter and request to relinquish her security clearance just out of the clear blue sky. It's not something she would do. Someone obviously tipped her off. So we'll keep following this. And when this report comes out, I think we all know what it's going to say. It's going to be very damning for the rotten Reverend Clinton. We have another, excuse me, frog in my throat. Here's another interesting story. Susan Rice, her son is a conservative, and he goes to Stanford. In fact, he is the head of the Stanford Republicans. Now, he was participating in a debate, and during that time, he was assaulted by a social justice warrior. So now he has filed a battery charge, and he's pressing battery charges, against this wacko leftist that assaulted him. His name is John David Rice Cameron. So that's pretty interesting that you would have Susan Rice's son, especially he's out in Stanford, pretty left-wing place out there. But it's kind of weird that Susan Rice's son is a hardcore conservative. I wonder how that goes at Thanksgiving dinner. That's got to be funny. I wonder if he challenges his mom on Trump and things and such. I bet he does, because he's obviously not just someone who's a conservative. He's obviously a leader in this movement. He's the head of the Stanford Republicans. So that's just kind of a humorous story to throw out there. And I've heard this before, and I just really never commented on it. But of course now, because he actually was assaulted by a social justice warrior, probably a fan of Susan Rice, his mother, and so you got to wonder what she thinks about this. So now, these Democrats are out assaulting Republicans right and left, chasing them out of restaurants, getting in their face, and all the things that we've seen. But it's kind of ironic when it comes back home and some liberal icon like Susan Rice sees that her own son is being harassed, and in this case assaulted by left-wing crazies. Kind of a tough position for her to be in, don't you think? Well, of course, everybody's been watching the meltdown over the Kanye West. It's now 2 days running. It's like they spent all day yesterday on it, and they're still on it. They cannot get off this Kanye West thing. And now they're talking about the fact that he said, mother effer, in the White House. Oh, he said the word mother effer in the White House. Oh my God. This is horrible. How could this possibly happen? I don't remember them getting this upset when Slick Willie got himself a Lewinsky in the White House. And we won't talk about the cigar, what he did with the cigar, where that cigar was, and which orifice in Monica Lewinsky's body that he placed that Cuban. No, they have no problem with that. They have no problem that Slick Willie is in there with an intern, a third of his age, doing what he was doing. That didn't bother the Democrats. I remember it quite well. That didn't bother them at all. No outrage whatsoever. None at all. Back then they just said, oh well, it's just sex. This is between Bill and Hillary. It's just sex. No one really cares. Well, the problem is it wasn't just sex. It was sex in the freaking Oval Office with an intern, a third his age. And what they did wasn't just sex. It was some pretty sick stuff. Yet, they're bent out of shape because Kanye West had Mother effer? That's how the guy talks. Didn't Jay-Z drop a bunch of F-bombs when the Rotten Reverend Clinton was campaigning with her and Beyonce? If I remember correctly, that's what happened. And how about Uncle Joe Biden, that crazy son of a bitch? It's a big effing deal. It's a big effing deal. And tons of more examples. It just shows, again, the hypocrisy, which many of you point out in the comment section all the time. I mean, just tons of people pointing out the hypocrisy. We could go on for hours pointing out the hypocrisy of the left-wing, unhinged, social justice warrior media. They are literally a public relations firm for the Democratic Party. That's H.A. Goodman's description. I think H.A. nails it when he describes the left-wing media as a public relations firm for the Democratic Party. That's essentially what they are. And, nobody cares if Kanye West drops F-bombs. Who doesn't? But not everybody goes into their office with an intern, drops their pants, and does certain things, and then breaks out a cigar and does something even worse. That's the kind of things you should be outraged about. CNN, MSNBC, and you liberal hacks, frauds. Unbelievable. People can see right through this, right? I certainly hope so. Okay, we now have the damage and the fallout from the political stunt against Kavanaugh. The fallout is continuing. It's not stopped. And so now we have Ted Cruz, who's now up 9 points over Beto O'Rourke. What's amazing about this is that the money is flowing into O'Rourke like unbelievable, because the Democrats really want to get rid of Ted Cruz, and they'd love to win Texas. They want to be able to say they won a red state. So they're pouring huge resources. Just in the last 3 months alone, O'Rourke has taken in $38 million in the last 3 months alone. That's a lot of cash. Ted Cruz has taken in $22 million in the last 3 months. So the Republicans are putting up a fight. And they are trying, but they're being outspent in nearly every race. There are House races right now where Republicans are being outspent 2 and 3 to 1, and they're holding their own. A lot of these toss-up races that I've been going through, these Republicans are being outspent 2 and 3 to 1, and they're still in toss-ups. So money is a factor. There's no question about it. I'm not going to sit here and say that money is not a factor. But there's other factors. And sometimes all the money in the world just isn't enough. And it appears that that's the case here with Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz. We also have the race with Martha McSally against that really crazy, nutty Kristen Sinema, I think her name's pronounced Sinema, Sinema. I don't know how she pronounces her name. She's a really wacky character, by the way. But Martha McSally is again, and keep in mind, this race is for Jeff the Flake's seat. This is Jeff the Flake's seat that they're running for. And so, Jeff the Flake is at the very best, you could say he's a moderate Republican. This is not a real conservative place. I mean, you don't get really, the real hardcore, hardcore conservative types winning in Arizona. They're typically neocons like Senator Magoo, or a moderate like Flake, or whatever. But Martha McSally is a pretty staunch, I guess you would say, conservative. And she's winning in this race against a very well-funded social justice warrior named Kristen Sinema. And McSally has been gaining literally almost like a point a day for the past week since the fallout over Kavanaugh. And it doesn't help that this nutty Democrat is out giving speeches just saying crazy things. And she's been associated with people who has connections to Al-Qaeda and all sorts of things. I mean, it's nutty what's going on. But she was giving a speech in Texas, and she was saying, don't be like the crazy Arizonans. That's her damn audience. That's the people she's trying to get to vote for her. In addition to being nutty, She's stupid. She also went after the very single group that Democrats, in a lot of ways, are counting on to help them have a blue wave. They're really targeting suburban white women. So what does this nutcase do? She goes out and accuses stay-at-home moms of being leeching moms. They're leeching because they're stay-at-home moms. Most women wish they could be stay-at-home moms. I mean, they're trying to win white women in the suburban areas to try to have a blue wave. And here you've got someone like this going out there and dissing these women. I mean, there's a lot of stay-at-home moms, you know. It's not, you know, obviously a lot more women work now today than did back in the 50s or 60s. But there's still a lot of women who are stay-at-home moms. And they don't like hearing this kind of crap. Because being a stay-at-home mom is a tough job. It is a very tough job. In fact, a lot of women going to work, their day job is easier than staying home and managing the kids and everyone else's kids who come over and, you know, do all the things that they do. It's you know, it's a tough job. Stay-home mom. Anybody who thinks stay-home mom's the easy job is nuts. Obviously didn't have a stay-at-home mom. Tough job. We have Wendy Rogers. She's now pulled into an 8-point lead over Tom O'Halloran. It's also in Arizona's 1st District, a race that we talked about 2 or 3 days ago. Back then, she was only up by 2 points. Now it's gone up by another 6. It's almost a point a day that we're seeing in a lot of these races, and especially in the Senate races. It's very possible when you look at the Senate right now, these races that we've been talking about, I've been focusing on the House races, but we'll get to the Senate races after we finish the House races. Just a couple of weeks ago, these Senate races were really tight and within, you know, a couple points margin of error. But we've seen huge leads now being pulled out in North Dakota, Missouri. We're seeing leads in where's the other state? Well, he's still behind, but John James up in Michigan is now tightening up in that race. So, you know, we're seeing these races, and what look like that the Republicans may pick up, you know, maybe one sure seat, Senate seat you could almost count on, and maybe 3 or 4 that were toss-ups. They were hoping to win 1 or 2 of those, maybe 3. It's now looking very likely that the Republicans could win all 5 of those Senate seats, and now there's another one in play. There's now 6 seats in play. We'll be getting to the Senate races here next week. We have Marsha Blackburn. Of course, she's now gaining again. It's starting to add up in the last week again. Just in the movement in these races all across the country, House and Senate races in the last week, as the fallout from the Kavanaugh debacle takes place and other things going on. These movements are incredible. But in this case, we have again a Democrat, kind of like what we see with Kristen Sinema, a Democrat sabotaging himself. This is Phil Bredesen. Not so much did he sabotage himself, but Project Veritas did an undercover video, and in doing so, they got a couple of his campaign staffers on tape where they're talking about this BS that essentially Bredesen came out and said, oh, well, because Bredesen, the campaign that he's running there in Tennessee, is he's actually running a campaign like in a lot of places where Trump is strong, where Republicans are strong, Democrats are literally running on Trump's agenda. So we have Bredesen saying, well, you know, if I would have been in the Senate, I would have voted for Kavanaugh. Oh, I like Trump's policy on trade. Oh, I like Trump's policy on this. And, oh, the tax cuts are pretty good. So it's extraordinary when you look at the Democrats, the way that they're running this 2018 midterm. They're almost running every race differently. They're in some places where Trump is popular, where the Republicans, it's a red state or whatever, they have literally Democratic candidates trying to run as if they support Trump. Then you've got other places like California, New Jersey, places like that, where they're running like Trump, and Republicans are demons. I mean, it's crazy. You know, they don't have a national sort of idea that they're running on. They're running each individual race in a very isolated way. There's no continuity in their message at all. It's in places where they're in trouble, or where Trump's popular, or where Republicans did well, red states, or blue states that turn red. You see Joe Manchin doing it. You see other people doing it. We see this idiot Bredesen trying to do it in Tennessee, trying to run like the Republicans almost, or support Trump, or like the trade deal. Oh, they like the trade. Oh, they want a border wall. I mean, this is insanity. When everyone knows that once they get into Congress, if they win their seat, they're going to be voting hardcore Democrat, because that's how the Democrats work. They're out of their minds. But one thing you can say about the Democrats is they do stick together for the most part. So because they use heavy-handed tactics against their members who don't fall in line. They deprive them of money. They'll threaten to primary them. They'll put them on rotten committees. I mean, the Democrats punish other Democrats who don't fall in line severely. So Marsha Blackburn is now pulling out to an even greater lead on Bredesen. This Project Veritas video certainly isn't helping, and I understand as a result of that, a lot of his campaign workers quit because they're like, this is ridiculous. And even in this video, you see this guy in this video who's like a campaign manager, or kind of a supervisor campaign guy. He's saying, oh yeah, well, Bredesen doesn't really believe that. He's not going to vote that way. I mean, he wins. He's going to vote with the Democrats. He's just saying all this to get elected. He don't believe any of it. See, and everyone knows this. Everyone knows this. I mean, it's a bad strategy. It's never a good strategy to run trying to sound like your opponent or trying to sound like your opponent's agenda, his party's agenda. I mean, if you're a Democrat trying to run as a Republican, people are going to say, well, gee, should I vote for the Republican or the Democrat that's talking like a Republican? Well, they're going to vote for the Republican. I mean, but it just shows you how badly, how bad things are in the Democratic Party. They've lost complete control of the far left wing of their base. They can't control them. They're trying to play to them because that's their energetic part of their base. They're losing in every other demographic. The only place they think they can actually do well is white suburban voters, because they thought that the Kavanaugh stunt was going to work, but now that backfired. And they double down. They double down on stupid. I'm telling you, man, we could see something really extraordinary on November 6th. Something really, really extraordinary. So as I'm speaking to you right now, Trump is actually just about 20 minutes away in Lebanon, Ohio. It's like one county over from me. It's a 20-minute drive from where I live. I could be there. He's at the fairgrounds over in Warren County. My sister and brother-in-law are there, because my sister and brother-in-law never miss a Trump rally. They actually live in southeastern Indiana. But if Trump's anywhere within 4 hours away, if they can get there in 4 hours, they're there. I think they've been to like 6, 7, 8 Trump rallies. They're huge fans. Huge fans. So here's a question. Is Mueller ready to throw in the towel? Is Mueller ready to throw in the towel? We did have the story earlier this week that Trump's attorneys are responding to written questions submitted by Mueller, and apparently they reached some sort of a deal. There's no questions apparently that that Mueller's asking, or Trump's attorneys are saying, well, we're not going to talk about obstruction, we're not going to talk about this and this and this. If you want to ask about Russia collusion, we'll answer questions on that. So apparently Trump's attorneys are looking at these questions and answering these questions for Uncle Bob. So it looks like Uncle Bob is trying to get out while he can, but he wants to save face. He doesn't want to get out and have nothing. I'd be very careful what I say in those written responses. He needs something to cover his butt, but he knows there's nothing there, and he's trying to get out and walk away with his dignity intact, and he doesn't want to be abused by the left for not finding the dirt on Trump. He doesn't want to say, oh, Mueller obviously is working for the other side. It was all fixed. It was all rigged. Mueller was never out to get Trump. Oh, yes, he was. Hardcore. Nothing there. But then we had also the interesting situation that went on this week with Rod Rodenstein taking that little plane ride. And you have to remember the leverage position that Trump's in. For all of us, what we want to see is the deep state brought down and held accountable for their crimes. Trump wants to see that too. But right now, he's got a much bigger fish to fry that's annoying him a lot more than that. He'll get to that. He knows that's a done deal. And he can do that in his own time, in his own way. And he will. But what he wants to get off his back is Uncle Bob the Executioner. So he has this great position of leverage with Rodenstein because he knows what Rodenstein did. Everybody knows what Rodenstein did. Trump knows. And so Rodenstein is in charge of Uncle Bob. So it's very likely that Trump is using this leverage that he's got on Rodenstein to leverage that with Rodenstein to get Uncle Bob to wrap up his investigation. Uncle Bob the executioner is probably now getting pressured from Rodenstein to wrap it up. And Rodenstein's about saying, "Look, man, Trump's got me by the gonads, man. He's got me, and I mean, I'm begging for my life at this point. So, Uncle Bob, I want you to wrap this thing up. Give him some simple questions, Russia collusion, nothing else. His attorneys are going to respond, and then put it away. Put it away and save my neck. Otherwise, if I go down, Uncle Bob, there's some things that you're involved in as well. I might take you down with me. Hey, how about we save both our skins?" And I think that that's exactly what's going on. Trump is using the leverage he has on Rodenstein to put an end to the Mueller witch hunt. That's number one on his mind. Once he's got Mueller out of the way, he's got that deal behind him, then he's in position to fully drop the bomb on the deep state and take all these people out, including Rodenstein. He's getting a temporary reprieve because Trump can use him. Maybe he'll cut a deal. Who knows? But Trump can't cut a deal with McCabe. He can't cut a deal with the FBI, who appear to want to throw Rodenstein under the bus to cover their butt. So these people are all going to turn on each other. Trump doesn't have to take them out. He just wants to get rid of Uncle Bob the executioner and get that behind him, and then let the deep state criminals who went after him, let them take each other out as they're trying to keep their asses out of jail. It's a very good move by Trump. We just need to be patient and understand that he's playing the game the way he sees it, and eventually he will get to these criminals. Believe me, I'm absolutely sure of it. He's not going to let them get away with it. Neither are we. And here we go with the polls again. Yes, the polls. Does anybody remember 2016? I remember here in Ohio, the day before the election, this poll came out. Those couple polls came out, and they had the Rotten Reverend Clinton going to win Ohio by, it was like 1 or 2 points. So it was, they were saying it's close. It's very, very close. Trump ends up winning Ohio by 11, which means they were off by 13. Then you have all these other states: North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, all these other states. They were even talking about Georgia. The Rotten Reverend Clinton may win Georgia. The Rotten Reverend Clinton may win Texas. All these states. Not only did the Rotten Reverend Clinton not win them states, but she lost in many of these states, a lot of states, by double digits, like Missouri and other places. Lost Wisconsin, lost Pennsylvania. Hadn't been won by a Republican since the late 80s. And then in red states, he wins by a mile. And Georgia was supposed to be, oh, Hillary might have a chance. No way. Texas, no way. Not even close. They were off so far in the polls, but, you know, and then, of course, they said, well, gee, we really couldn't explain that. I guess that was the monster vote. I guess that the independents broke for Trump. Oh, I guess more blacks and Hispanics voted for Trump than we thought. More women voted for Trump than we thought. They got it all wrong. And so let's look at the polls that we're seeing right now, or that we saw back in 2016. This is the day before the election. NBC poll the day before the election had the Rotten Reverend Clinton winning 47-41 at the time. She was polling 47-41 the day before the election that she lost. Washington Post 47-43 Clinton. Bloomberg 44-41 Clinton. CBS 45-41 Clinton. Even Fox had Clinton winning 45-43. So now we've got CNN yesterday. They come out and say, well, our experts and our people say that the Democrats are going to take over the House and they're going to pick up 39 seats. 39 seats. They might get 9. 19 at the absolute most. 19 at the most, but still won't win the House back for them. I don't think they'll get that many. 39 seats. You got to be kidding me. You're out of your mind. That's CNN for you. But basically the bottom line is, the same thing that you see in the polling that was happening then is happening now. But it's so much different now because back then Trump was just this candidate, right? He had no proven record. And he was running against the Rotten Reverend Clinton, who had all the money, all the media, all the establishment, everyone behind her. and he comes, and a lot of people weren't sure with Trump. They didn't know what they were exactly going to get, right? But they come out and he wins pretty handily in the Electoral College. Now he's been president for almost 2 years. He's done an incredible job. His numbers have gone up with blacks, with Hispanics. His numbers in economics are great. Trade, great. He's doing great. Even foreign policy, which people was a real surprise. No one really thought about what he would do foreign policy, but he's done very well there as well. So, you know, if you look at it, if the polls were that wrong and Trump had a lot of question marks about him back in 2016, here he is now with 2 years of a great successful record, and they're still telling us that there's going to be some, Dems are going to take over the House. It's going to be hard. The Republicans might hold on to the Senate. I mean, they're nuts. They're absolutely nuts. The Republicans are going to pick up at least 3 Senate seats, maybe 5, and now there's 6 in play. I don't think that they're even. Like I said, I think that they may win 10 seats in the House, but no, they're not going to win 39, and I don't think they'll win 29. I don't even think they'll win the 23 or 24 that they need to take back the House, despite the fact that they're pumping tons of money into targeted races. There'll be illegals voting, people voting 9 times. There'll be all sorts of rigging going on. They'll do everything they can, and they'll still lose. And they'll still lose. Just amazing. Now let's get back to finishing our list, or getting close to finishing our list of House races before we tackle the Senate next week. So we're now in New Jersey, District 3, the only place the Right Reverend Clinton is being asked to campaign, by the way. She is wanting to go out and campaign for Democrats all over the country. They don't want her anywhere around. They don't want her anywhere around, and they've sent that message to her. Stay away. Stay away, Reverend. The only guy, there's only like 3 places. Menendez, she's campaigning for somebody over in New York, and she's going to go out in California and campaign. She won't go anywhere besides New York, California, or New Jersey. Anywhere. And Democrats want her to stay the hell away. And they've made it perfectly clear to the Right Reverend Clinton. We don't want you anywhere. Don't come anywhere near my district. Stay away. And don't mention me. Don't talk about me. Don't tweet about me. Nothing. That's the message that's been sent to the Right Reverend Clinton, and we know that straight from a Democratic National Committee high-level DNC official who doesn't want to be named. But that's the message coming in from people running all across the country. Hey, whatever you do, tell the Reverend to stay the hell away from me. I don't want her anywhere near me. Toxic. New Jersey, District 3, Andy Kim, the Democrat running against Tom MacArthur, the Republican. This is in the toss-up category. New Jersey is a hard place to win, but Trump won this district by 6 points. 6 points. This is a winnable race. If you're in New Jersey, District 3, get out there and vote. New Jersey, District 7, Tom Malinowski, Democrat, running against Leonard Lance, the Republican. This is also in the toss-up category. Romney won here by 6 points. The Right Reverend Clinton won here by 1 point. So what's that tell you? Well, they vote establishment, neocon, or neoliberal. I don't know what Mr. Lance is, but he's an R, and that's real important in these House races. Go vote for the R, even if you got to hold your nose. Maybe this is a good guy. I don't know, but he's in New Jersey, so you can't be that conservative, right? New Jersey District 11, Mike Cheryl versus Jay Weber. This is currently leaning toward the Democrat. Trump carried this district by 1 point in 2016. Dems are putting a lot of money into this race. It's one they think that they can win, and a lot of money going in here. So it's leaning to Democrat right now. Get out and vote for Jay Weber if you're in New Jersey District 11. Well, we are just about out of time. Didn't get through many of these, but we'll get back at it tomorrow. But tomorrow's TowerGate is going to be back to a little more of what we talk about mostly on TowerGate. Of course, the frame-up operation of Donald Trump. And there was a fantastic article written by Jeff Carlson that I just read earlier that I'm going to really go through and dissect. And it's going to dominate most of what we talk about tomorrow, so we can get back to what is really what we really want to talk about here on TowerGate. So stick around for Sunday's TowerGate video. Should be really good. I think you'll like what we have to look at here. And if we have some time, we'll do some more races. Alrighty? You guys have a good night, and I'll see you on Sunday.